by the traditional owners of the country where this meeting is being held, and recognise their continuing connection to land, water, sky and culture. We pay our respects to all these people and their elders past, present and emerging. In accordance with Regulations 14I and 14J of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, notice is given that this meeting is being video and audio recorded to facilitate community participation and for minute-taking purposes. By being present at a meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their image and voice may be recorded. Audio recordings are published on the Shire's website following the meeting and may be released upon request to third parties. Members of the public are reminded that, in accordance with Section 6.16 of the Shire of York Local Government Council Meetings Local Law 2016, nobody shall use any visual or vocal recording device or instrument to record the proceedings of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee without the written permission of the presiding member. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at the meeting today can be revoked in accordance with Regulation 10 of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the Shire has been received. Any plans or documents in agendas and minutes may be subject to copyright. The express permission of the copyright owner must be obtained before copying any copyright material. Attendance via electronic means is nil. Standing orders, no change. Announcement of visitors, we have nil. Declarations of proximity interest. Does anyone have proximity interest to declare? That is nil. Declarations of financial interests. Any declarations? That's nil. And disclosure of interests that may affect impartiality. And that is also nil. Thank you. Attendance, we have Presiding Member Shona Zulsdorf, Deputy Presiding Member Sonia McKeever, Councillor Chris Gibbs, Councillor Denise Smythe and Councillor Kevin Trent. Staff, we have Annika Burleson, Acting Executive Manager, Corporate and Community Services, Denise Gobbart, Manager Finance, Vanessa Green, Council and Executive Support Officer, Emma Hannington, Council Support Officer. Apologies from Alina Bean, Temporary Chief Executive Officer. Leave of absence previously approved, nil. Number of people in the gallery at commencement of the meeting, there are 0 people in the gallery. Questions from previous meetings are nil. Public question time. We'll talk to you about... Yes, we'll talk to you about that later. Yes, have a look at that manual. Public question time, I open at 3:04 and being no attendees, I close it at 3:04. Applications for leave of absence, nil. Presentations, nil. So, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a mover for the minutes, please? Councillor Smythe, and a seconder, Councillor Gibbs. Are there any... Does anyone wish to speak to the minutes? No? So I will move that the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 2nd December 2025 be confirmed as a correct record of proceedings. And all those voting? That's unanimous, 5-0. Announcements by presiding member without discussion, nil. So we move on to the officers' report, the mid-year budget review. Ms. Gobbart, would you like to speak to the paper at all? You don't have to, but you are welcome to. No, you're all right?
If you have questions, happy.
Okay. So I will open for questions. Ms. McKeever, I suspect you may be putting your hand up, or do you want me to go first? All right. So, page 7, I note that there was a decrease in CRC fees. Yes. Does that make sense, Ms Gobart? Oh yes, decrease due to fees and charges. You've moved that to another cost centre, so it's not that they've actually decreased. Yes.
Yes, it's the same value.
Yes.
It's just being reallocated across the IE codes.
Thank you. I did pick that up later down the page. Yes. Yes, Ms McKeever.
Can I just ask why that has happened?
When the budget was adopted, all of the revenue for the CRC was allocated to fees and charges, and then as I've looked at what's coming in through the budget, there's actually subsidies, there's contributions and other revenue that's coming through. So through the budget review process, I've corrected those so that our reporting will be more reflective of actual.
Oh, yes. that was one of mine. Yes. You have another one?
Yes. Just in relation to the employee costs, it says that there was a decrease in expenses for projects and assets were transferred to contracts. Can you just explain what that means? I don't quite understand what you're saying there.
Staff, their salaries that were generally allocated to projects and assets have been acting in other roles, and the position hasn't been filled. Those positions haven't been filled. One's a temporary, but there is a vacancy there. So for the period that they've been acting, there is a shortfall, a savings in employee costs that we're transferring that to a contractor. So then, whilst that person is still acting, we'll be able to get somebody in to help catch up the backlog of work that's outstanding. Annika may want to add more.
No, that's pretty much it. So we're talking about the projects and assets team. Did you have any clarification there?
Does the cost follow? So the cost doesn't follow them. The cost of the employee doesn't follow them into the new role. So I'm just wondering, you're transferring the cost around, but I don't understand why. Is that because it goes with them or not? Doesn't go with them.
That's okay. So the cost of that employee doesn't travel with them; it stays with the position. So like the manager of project and assets became the acting executive manager for infrastructure and development services. So her salary in the acting role remains in that area, the administration, whereas the manager of project and assets stays in that team. So we had an person acting in her role, in the manager's role, and he is on a contract arrangement, so not salary to the Shire. So so that budget allocation has to be moved to contracts.
Thank you.
Do you have another one?
Yes, I do. So there's talk of the non-cash amounts excluded from operating activities. Can you just explain what that is?
Through the audit process, we were required to remove all the assets that were valued under $5,000 threshold. So when we've disposed of them, there's a loss on sale because there's actually no revenue has come in to offset that disposing the asset. So it becomes a non-cash item.
Reflected as a loss, is that right? Okay.
If I might, on pages 15 and 16 of the pack, I can see revenue and expenses is you're predicting that's going to track pretty much where you estimate you're in budget. But capital revenue and expenditure, there seems a delay, which is not unusual, particularly for expenditure. Do you think you will achieve those numbers? Do you think you'll actually spend that money by June, or do you think there may be some delays into next year?
The projects and assets team are saying that we will spend the money. So there is contracts out at the minute for the roadwork. So once they start coming in, that will take a big hit of those funds. So, and then there's other grant funding projects that spends will start happening. If they're not spent, the cash that we have will be restricted. So we'll only be spending what we've been allocated.
Thank you. And on the next page with liquidity, so that looks concerning to me. Could you speak to that graph and whether there's any issues that are relevant for this committee or things that we should be monitoring in respect of that, please?
The graph, the red line is what's being projected, and that's purely based on the fact that we adopt balanced budgets. So by the changes that we've made has a small impact on the surplus that we had projected, but given that we have to have a balanced budget, it reflects that will be going down. Potentially, if FAGS comes in early again, that will spike up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? So I will ask for a mover, please. Oh. Sure. Ms. McKeever?
Just as a general comment, I just note that the budget information that we've been provided with, we only get to see maybe once or twice a year, and it's quite complicated. And I just wanted to say that I'm not, in terms of resolving to put it to the council, I think I need to be clear that I'm not completely over all of this. That's not my background in terms of accounting. And this isn't a finance committee either. So just wanted to relay that. So just in terms of how much council are relying on us in terms of checking it all, I think there needs to be a caveat.
Could I paraphrase, sure, if that's all right, for council, for you to be aware that our expertise is in risk and order as opposed to finance. So we note the financials, and we're confident that if there's rigour around what you've provided to us, but it isn't our expertise per se. So we just would appreciate that councillors recognise that when this comes up to council. Is that a fair way to express that? All right, thank you. So I'll ask for a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Trent. And a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Gibbs. And the recommendation is that with regard to mid-year budget review 25-26, the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee recommends to Council that it resolves to adopt the mid-year budget review and supporting information as presented in Appendix 1, resolves to adopt the budget amendments detailed in Note 5 as presented in Appendix 1, requests the temporary Chief Executive Officer to forward the adopted 25-26 mid-year budget review to the Department of Local Government, Industry, Regulation and Safety within 14 days of Council's adoption. And all those in favour, thank you. And that's 5-0. We have the update on the findings identified during the annual financial audits, which of course we've been monitoring for some time. Ms Burleson, did you wish to speak to the paper at all? It's not obligatory, just if there's anything you'd like to highlight.
No, other than just highlighting that officers are continuing to work on and make progress against all the findings.
Yes. Are there other questions? No? Ms McKeever?
I'm just wondering if we can add in a new completion date for the ones that are still there, just so that we can keep track of them.
What page is that, please?
Yes.
That'll be very...
Yeah.
Okay.
There was, one of them had a completion date, which was the non-compliance with depreciation policy, and I think the new completion date is 31st of March 2026. But the other two, the grants, income and expenses, doesn't have a new completion date, and the plant recovery cost-based rate also doesn't have a new completion date. And I also wanted to know whether the bank reconciliations, which have been completed, can we just move that off the register, or we just keep an eye on it? I know that that's going to council as well, isn't it?
Yes. So, do I, Ms.
Yep,
Wilson?
Yep,
Yes?
I can answer that. So, in terms of the completion dates, are you happy for them to come to the next audit and risk if they're still on the list, or you want completion dates delivered another way?
Is that all right if I make a suggestion? One of the, sorry, I hope you don't mind. So the bank reconciliations have been an enormous issue and huge investment of time and effort, and I do want to acknowledge the work that's been done and the outcome that you've achieved. What I was wondering was, and perhaps you can say if you're comfortable with this, that we had a large number of findings against us, and we wanted to have an auditable trail that we're monitoring. I feel like the majority of them have been achieved, and I wonder if we actually close out this list and we just move them over to the audit log with estimated completion dates, and it just becomes part of normal business on the audit log. Does that achieve what you're looking for?
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Yes, and if Ms. Wilson, if you've got any comment to that?
Yeah, no, we're happy to do that.
Yes. Welcome, Ms. Vian. Car's working?
Thank you, yes, we made it.
Yes. So I'm assuming you would be comfortable with that if we just roll this into an audit log.
Sorry, thank you. We could absolutely do that. Can I ask you to recommend as part of the recommendation that, as part of your recommendation to council, that is it. So if you could amend that recommendation through a motion, that would be great.
Yes. So I'm going to amend B to that we recommend that the outstanding items be transferred to the audit log. Is that okay? Because that's essentially what we're doing, isn't it?
So yes, and you'd need a second to do that, and just to check around the table.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbs. Yes, yeah. We've monitored it very closely for a number of years, and I think we've achieved.
And you can see that we have.
Yeah, but also the high risk items have been addressed. So I think.
And sorry, through the chair, sorry, just a little bit late to this report. Is the audit log the correct term?
Is that not what you call your audit? Your findings from audits? So all of the findings you get from your OAG audits, your internal audits, any of those things go on. Do you not call it an audit log?
So at the moment, that's what you're seeing in that report is how we've been logging them in that. So we could actually reduce that report to only be the ones that we're focusing on.
Yes.
So remain the same reporting type with the risk assessments, but take off the items that no longer need to be monitored.
Perhaps at the next meeting, you could present something around an audit log tabling which just has the outstanding findings from audits.
Yes, definitely.
So can I recommend an audit log, that you establish an audit log and include them?
Shana, you're talking about the table that currently is there, just being reduced down to the 3 or 4.
The outstanding items?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that, what do you normally call that? Do you call it a log?
Register. Yeah, that's risk register.
Or, isn't it just, or an audit? Well, it's not a risk. Well,
It's an audit findings register.
Perfect. Happy with that. Audit finding register. Yes. No, that's absolutely fine. I just think it needs to be part of normal business now. And yes, move it on. Audit.
So findings register.
Audit findings register. So I'll ask for. Sorry, and you might need to guide me through the process. If I want to put up an amendment to that, I need a seconder. So,
Christy.
move it, Councillor Gibbs. Seconder, Councillor Smythe.
We just speak the word now.
That the outstanding items be transferred to the audit findings register. Yes, Ms. Bairn?
Yes, so if I could make a recommendation. So it is, that perhaps it is that the audit findings register now only contains the outstanding items.
Yes?
Because That's the thing that will get everything
Okay.
else off.
Yes.
Focus only on the four
Okay.
that are remaining, and then we can
Thank
move
you.
forward on those.
So the outstanding items. Do you want to repeat that? Thank you. Sorry.
I have to remember what I said. So it really is that the audit findings register now. So it recommends to council that the audit findings register only contains those items that are outstanding as of this date would be a great thing, and then that's done.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I think that's time. So I will. How are we going? Recommend to council that the remaining outstanding findings form an audit findings register. Is that right? No?
Doesn't it go in here as a point?
Yes. It will do, yes. Okay, so I need to approve this amendment and then I go to point one of the okay. So, we have the mover and seconder and the motion is that we recommend to council that the remaining outstanding findings form the audit register findings report. Yes?
I need to be really pedantic on this
No,
one,
you go.
if that's okay. So, and forgive me because I'm not sure what part of the process you were already at. So, had you already moved the officer's recommendation?
No.
You hadn't. So we're now amending the officer's So the motion is to amend the officer's recommendation. So I assume it's going to be points 1 and 2 as follows. So, sorry, I can't actually see it well. Request the temporary chief to report back on, and as probably, I would say 3, and reduce the, point 3 would be, and reduce the audit findings register to contain only those outstanding items.
Is that not what that says?
That doesn't say that, no.
Okay, all right.
And
Anyway, do you want to dictate that, please?
Yes.
So, and point 3 is...
So for the amendment, you could copy the first few bits. Point 3 be added, yep. So that the audit findings register contain only the remaining only the remaining outstanding items, audit items, as listed at point 2 of this report will do.
Okay. Right. So, I will read the motion, which is that with regard to the minutes and recommendations of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee held on 2 December 2025, Council receives the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 2nd December 2025 as presented in Appendix 1, and by adopting the following recommendations of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee, Council accepts the actions taken and residual risk for the following finding. 1, unrecorded liabilities. Oh, sorry. Oh, my apologies. Yes, okay, sorry. My apologies.
Just a point of order. We have to pass the amendment first.
Do we? Okay,
We have to vote on the amendment,
Thank you.
then we go back to the recommendation.
thank you.
So
Okay.
at the moment, we've got a mover and a seconder
Lovely.
for just the amendment itself.
Okay, so the amendment is that point 3 be added to state that the audit findings register contain only the remaining outstanding audit findings as listed at point 2 of this report. All those in favour? That's 5-0, and thank you, Councillor Gibbs. And that the recommendation is that with regard to the update on the findings identified during annual financial audits, the Audit Risk Improvement Committee recommends to Council that it, 1, accepts the actions taken and residual risk for the following 3 findings. A, former employee listed as authorised signatory and bank confirmation. B, fixed assets items were not recorded in the fixed asset register in a timely manner. C, old PPE assets carried in the fixed asset register. 2, request the temporary Chief Executive Officer to report back on progress against the remaining 4 findings. A, non-compliance with depreciation policy. B, untimely preparation and review of bank reconciliations. C, monitoring of grants, income and expenses. D, plant recovery cost base rate and indirect overhead cost allocation rate to the Audit Risk Improvement Committee at its June 2026 meeting. A mover, please. Councillor Smythe, seconder. Ms McKeever. All those in favour? That's 5-0. Thank you. And we got there. So, and I'm on page. Where are we? Okay. Here we go. Review of the long-term financial plan. Ms Wilson, did you wish to speak to it?
No, but happy to take questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Just for your information, Ms McKeever and I met with the external auditor, with Moores and Ms Bean, just to have an education session on the long-term financial plan and to ask some questions. So we were very comfortable with the information provided, and we feel like we're better able to review it and have better understanding of it. So thank you to Moores and Ms Bean. Okay, if there's no questions on that. Yes, I guess I'm saying we've asked our questions. A mover, please. Ms Councillor Smythe, seconder, Ms McKeever, and all those in voting, please. All those in favour? That's 5-0. We are risk management update. Ms Bean, we did receive a briefing before this meeting on risk, and we had a good discussion. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you, but I will like a briefing on how that went after.
Of course, yes. And we are going to have an ongoing conversation on that. Given the conversation that we did have and the discussions, is there anything else that people would like to add at this point? I would like to note the work that staff have done and that they've heard the feedback from this committee, and they're attempting to mature the model and have it evolve. So we certainly recognise the work that's been done, and thank you. And hopefully together we can all get something that is perhaps tells more of a story for the committee and council. So I guess I'll ask. No comment? Okay. So Councillor Smart moves and seconds. Ms McKeever. And all those in favour? Thank you. That's 5-0. 133 is terms of reference. Ms Bean, anything you would like to highlight in that report?
No, I think that's fine as written. Was there any commentary around the table?
We did have a conversation around it. So under other business, I'll talk about some training Ms McKeever and I went to, but we were informed that the department has been in consultation with Walga and others to prepare a template terms of reference that go to the amendments in the regulations, but also defining what improvement means, because we're not entirely clear. That would be helpful. Yes, it would. And at this stage, they're proposing that those that template is likely to be available from June. I know there's some questions around the timeframes for the new terms of reference, but nothing in writing that formally. Is that right? Yes, Ms. Green?
That is my understanding, that the department had previously set a deadline of 1 April, but
Yeah.
the department is the one producing the template. Perhaps
Yes.
that changes the deadline.
Yes, okay, but we don't have any formal notification on that date. Okay, thank you. Yes, so before I make any comment, Ms. McKeever, did you wish to comment first?
Yes, please. So I did have a look at the terms of reference and the changes that have been made. I'm not sure whether there's an updated template that might be more updated than what we've currently used, but anyway, we know that one is coming. But there are a few things that I'd probably like to see in the new terms of reference, I guess, tailored to ARIC, our committee. Things like the appointment of a deputy of presiding member, which is different to deputy presiding member. And I know that there's discussion about how that's all going to work. From the training yesterday, Wolga indicated what their view was, and that is that the deputy of the presiding member would fill in for the presiding member, but the deputy presiding member would actually preside, not the deputy of presiding member.
Can we, sorry, if you don't mind, I have, as you know, I'm on a few committees and I have received 3 legal opinions, none of which correlate. So the Wolga has currently gone to SSOs, Estate Sols, to get advice, definitive advice, and so I guess Ms. McKeever's point is it does need to be in there, it's a requirement, but I think our collective view is wait till you get that legal advice because the jury's out at this point.
So if I may,
Sorry, just to add to...
if that's okay, through the chair, we also did our own research around that, approaching a few other committees. Same thing, no one had a definitive on that. We were waiting until
Yes.
An opinion was resolved before we put this through, and then at that time we would be able to bring it back to Audit, Risk and Council to have a look at those conditions. But if it's likely to be April, that's certainly earlier than I was expecting. That's good.
That's not in writing though, and I think that was potentially, that webinar was pre them going to State Sols because they thought it was clear, and they've had all these local governments contacting them saying it's not, and so now they've only recently gone to State Sols. So I think maybe it's a work in progress. But sorry, Ms. McKeever, I interrupted. My apologies.
I guess the other thing to note is that the deputy of presiding member also needs to be appointed before the end of June, so that's something to think about. There were a couple of sections in the terms of reference that talk about the annual financial statements, and we were advised yesterday through the Wolga training that it's not necessary for that to come to ARIC, so that's probably something that we need to think about given that we're not a finance and budget committee. So something to have a think about. Yes, we can talk more about that. And the other thing that was raised was the expenses of members, in that they now have to be council approved. They've changed the law, and there's a section in the terms of reference that talk about that. So I'm not sure if that's up to date or not, so that's something that we'd have to check. And also the use of chairperson and chair, they want to take that out of the terms of reference. They want it to be presiding member or deputy presiding member, so there's no confusion.
Because you don't look like a chair.
No, I try not to.
You're sitting in one.
So that's it, thank you.
So I wonder if we defer this until we get the template, but I recognise that work has been done, but
Yeah, why are we doing this? Because
Yes, yes. Ms. Bean, would you be amenable to that suggestion?
So, again, without having reviewed that directly before the meeting, I actually have a different opinion to that, would be that if we send this through to Council now for adoption, we can always amend it as we get the next terms. The updates are important and essential. I'd rather we were as close to update as we could be for today, and that we can adapt into the future. But happy for the committee to decide.
I think we can. I just think it's going to be quite. I think the terms of reference will look quite different once we get the template.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yes, as long as the committee recognises that we'll be doing this again, and yes, then if you're comfortable with that, I will propose that we approve it. Unless anyone has an alternate view, because I can be persuaded to defer it, but if the view is, and we can certainly live with it. But I would like to support Sonia's point around, or Ms McKeever's point, just giving a bit more thought around what oversight of budget and financials looks like for this committee, in that we're not finance and budget. So because we are acutely aware of the role of the committee and the skills, and I know it is so we can include other things. So you're absolutely within your rights to do that, but that we want to be clear about what it is that we're doing. So when that comes back, if you could perhaps look at that and see if we want to maybe rephrase that slightly. Ms. Bean?
Thank you, through the chair. I think we'll also test that through the OAG. They have been very insistent on us bringing our financials through this committee in the past. So that would be an important qualification.
So again, that it would be good to have their views on what that looks like, because and they're all doing it a bit different, but I just think it is worth a bit more scrutiny and what is it exactly that we are recommending to council. Councillor Gibbs?
Councillor Gibbs speaking. With that in mind, I would support a motion to defer this. Yeah. If there was to be a motion to defer this, because it's going to come before council. We already know that there are changes coming, right? So the reality is I would feel more comfortable if this was deferred and was more accurate when it comes to council.
Okay. So
I'll propose a motion to defer.
And that's seconded by Councillor Smythe. And I'll ask for everyone to vote, please. Thank you. So that's 5-0. Sorry, Ms. Bean, do you wish to advise us differently?
No, just requesting a date would be great on that one. So not indefinitely.
Of course it is. Yeah.
We'll have a look at it at June.
Yes, for the June meeting. Thank you.
For the presiding member, with this issue of the deputy presiding member, I think that needs to be noted somewhere, because we can't forget about that because it has to be done before the end of June. Before the end of June, someone has to be appointed to that position.
Ms. Bean, I'm assuming you're across that. Yes, and you will action that. Okay. And are you okay if we don't minute it, but that Ms. Bean notes that? Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. So that matter is dealt with, I think. 10, motions of which previous notice has been given is nil. Questions from members without notice is nil. And business of an urgent nature introduced by decision at the meeting is nil. But I wondered if you might indulge me to just provide a bit of feedback on some training that we have had, if that is of interest to the committee. So, and particularly as you paid the bill yesterday for one of us. So. Yes, so I might get Ms McKeever to kick off with the WOBA training from yesterday.
Sorry, Sharon, I might just get you to start off with general things. I think I might have covered most of the things when I looked at the terms of reference. So,
Christmas holidays, I listened to the webinar by Office of Auditor General, and I listened to the webinar from Department of Local Government on ARIC committees. So the one from local government is really just highlighting what the changes are and the terms of reference. So there's probably nothing else to add there. The one from Office of Auditor General was interesting, particularly in respect of asset valuations. That was a focus, and it was also a focus for Office of Auditor General, who came and spoke to us yesterday. And they were saying that, OAG briefing. So they're suggesting that asset valuations is an issue in local government, and there's a bit of a disconnect between the depreciation values and the cash held. And they're saying that you maybe need better coordination between your engineering team and the records that they have and your finance team, because obviously you might depreciate it over 20 years, but you're actually holding the asset for 50. So kind of some coordination there, but also better coordination for reports on condition data on roads for maintenance priorities. They tell us that they're looking at costs, and I certainly raised the issue again yesterday with OAG. But on asset valuations, I think I got a bit more clarity that they would like ARIC committees to be across the scope, to approve the scope for asset valuations, which is something we haven't previously done. And I think what they're saying is that the OAG have a list of preferred valuers. Given the complexity of it and the range of methodologies, that they're encouraging you to look at their valuers. So I think that's what they're saying to us, given, you can do highest and best use, a whole range of things. So I'll just leave that with you. I'm hoping that we get more clarity around that. And then yesterday we had, Wolga had a one-day workshop. Miss McKeever was funded by York, and I was funded by Coburn. And we were provided a manual which we have shared, and that can be made available to other members of the committee around how we operate. It may be that things change, but at least you understand what the training was, what information we have been provided. And there was lots in there around how we operate. Going back to your notes, is there anything you particularly wanted to highlight?
They talked about public meetings and that it's not necessary to have public question time if we don't have delegation. So that's probably something that we can put back on the agenda. That's what you.
Yes.
And we don't live stream, do we? So I don't know about that. Just in relation to also just council approval for travel and associated expenses for members have to be approved by the council now. So that's already been done.
Okay.
Yep.
Lovely.
Okay. I think that was all. We covered it off. Thank you.
I may review my notes for next time, but there's nothing. I made lots of kind of detailed notes, but I guess that was more for myself. And they did go into chairing. They did give us some training on motions and amendments, etc. And I will try and get better. But it was good to meet some other people, and I'm meeting someone from another regional ARIC tomorrow, and hopefully, shall we say, a bit of mentoring perhaps, and sharing some knowledge, because I do think that they're very disadvantaged out in the regions, and I think they're good things to do to share our expertise and what we do. So and we're all struggling a little to get clarity around it, and we all do it slightly different, but I think there's genuinely good intent behind most people's motivation for being on these committees. On that note, if there's nothing else, I will declare the meeting closed at 3:45.